to get started with the program. We just have such a great program. So welcome. I'm Martin Sondman, the president of WISIS, and I understand that this is our 19th annual symposium, which is really exciting. Well, Claire has a special spot for me because this was the place where I went to my first WISIS symposium. And Ed Martini, the chancellor, is here. And Ed, you passed the first test. The air conditioning is working. The last time we were here. And it was interesting because, you know, I just moved from Texas. And I want to say it was like 75, 80 degrees. And I'm like, what are people complaining about? And, but I've had to kind of have my own education about the winters here. We're so glad that you're here. As I mentioned, Chancellor Martini is here with us, so we're excited about that. You'll hear from him in a few minutes. Dave Bruchart, who's the chair of our WISIS Board of Trustees, and we're happy to have him. And I think I said this last night, but it's worth repeating. I think that, you know, leadership matters, and we are very fortunate that our leaders show up. And I encourage all of you to talk to our leaders and, you know, tell them about your experiences and give them ideas. They're here to listen. But they're really very engaged, and I feel very fortunate. Dave has been with WISIS throughout my tenure, and he's been a terrific board member. And then Tim Higgins, who's the Regent Emeritus, and we have an award that Tim has generously endowed that we'll be giving away tomorrow. And he's, again, I don't understand how he has the time to do all of these things, but during his tenure as a regent, I would see him everywhere, and I don't think he sleeps, so there you go. But we're excited to have him here. So this year, you know, Spark is all about celebrating innovation in Wisconsin, inspiring our attendees to new ideas, moving those ideas into reality, and building an innovation ecosystem. And this year, you're going to hear from a variety of voices and disciplines. So we want you to watch the slides throughout the conference to see the names of everyone who've been awarded patents in the last year, students who've learned the skills that will help them apply the innovation in the future jobs by participating in Innovation On-Ramp, which earned them Innovative Thinking badges, and the students who learned how to talk about their research to any audience by participating in the quick pitch competition that started here. We did our very first quick pitch in the auditorium right next door, and there were 3 participants, and really grateful that Eau Claire joined us on that journey from a terrific competition. And the winners from each institution will be competing tomorrow at the quick pitch state final. There have been numerous successes from across your universities this past year, and just to highlight a few, and I want to make it clear, is, you know, I wish I could recognize all of you, because I know that all of you are doing amazing work, but some of the things that we've noticed, Stephen Gerard and Sydney Gang were showcased on Project Pitch It for their company ideas. Stephen even won the Bright New Idea Award at the Governor's Business Plan competition. A number of people received grant awards, you know, that have been working with us and doing amazing work. Tina Lee from UW Scout was the PI on an NSF Research Experience for undergraduates, an REU award, as well as Raul Gomes from UW Eau Claire for another REU award. Alosha Alexandrov, UW Oshkosh, and Young Ju Kim from UW Scout both won Tommy G. Thompson Center Research Project Awards. Rupsa Gomez, UW La Crosse, who attended our grant writing academy that, you know, Carla Malloy, one of our staff members, runs, won a Wisconsin Space Grants Consortium Early Stage Investigator Award. Suraj Sanarian from UWRF was awarded a NSF Research Infrastructure Award to support the South Pole Neutron Monitor. Grace Lewis at UW River Falls was awarded the American Dairy Science Association Foundation Early Career Award. And Stephen Gerard and Remy Zakaria from UW Whitewater were awarded Fulbright scholarships. Tina Lee was also featured on Wisconsin Public Radio, talking about her work, and in terms of specific people, Liz Legowski won a Kerr Research Mentoring Award. It just is really impressive. I think that the work that all of you are doing, that the regional schools do, is unbelievable, and we should continue to recognize and celebrate that great work. In terms of institutions, we also saw last year that UW Parkside and UW Cox won National Science Foundation EPIC Awards. So those are awards to kind of think about how they connect into a regional innovation ecosystem. And then UW Eau Claire and UW Oshkosh were jointly awarded an NSF Granted Award. So thinking about how to build up their research administration kind of skills and activities. We also saw 30 companies participate in our Level Up programming across the state to take their startups to the next level. So I know that there are more stories out there that we should be celebrating, and as I said, forgive me if I didn't mention yours particularly by name. But over the past year, many more of you have come up with new ideas that will make a big impact on the world. Received prestigious teaching awards, student awards, being funded for research, and even start companies. And I encourage you to share your successes with us so we can continue to highlight them. Students, throughout the past year, you've learned, really fundamental things about conducting research as you work with your PIs. And you can start to think about how you can change the world. Over the course of the next 2 days, we're going to celebrate these things and hopefully inspire you to keep pushing your ideas forward. So we have our slides. Last year, WISES engaged over 1,200 innovators across the state, supported 262 ideas, and continued to build the innovation ecosystem in Wisconsin. Those are the fruits that you will see during this conference. You've done some amazing things in the past year, and I'm excited to celebrate them over the next few days. And I can tell you that from the start of my tenure, we were working with maybe hundreds of you, and now it's thousands, which is really impressive. Another success from this year was establishing Forward Ag as a division of WISES, showing our support in this important work to build a sustainable ecosystem of innovation in the ag industry that touches so much of our state, economically and socially. You'll hear more about our Forward Ag and our Forward Ag Director, Brad Gordon, in that work later this afternoon. It's really been an incredible journey, and it's powered by all of you, our ability to work as a state together to support a critical industry in our state. It couldn't be more important work. We also awarded $1.2 million in grants to support and grow the ideas of faculty, staff, students, and alumni of the universities of Wisconsin. A number of that funding is being presented here as part of the Student Poster and Innovation Showcase and in the faculty and student research talks. So please participate in that and ask good questions. We're also proud of all the work that you've done over the past year, and I hope I can take the opportunity to celebrate and learn. We have attendees from all 11 regional universities, and I hope you take the opportunity to talk about your ideas with people you may not know, find collaborators, and be inspired towards innovation for the coming year. Make sure you get involved by using our app, that CVent app. The person with the most engagement at the end of the day will win a gift card. We keep trying to make this interesting and fun and another way for you to engage with the conference. One of the institutions that embraces that innovation mindset is Eau Claire, and so thank you to UW Eau Claire for being our co-host for this annual symposium. As I mentioned, this was the first one that I came to. We had about 150 people at that event. This year, we have 250 registrations, which is incredible. And when we started, we were getting about 10 to 20 students. We have over 100 students. Eau Claire has brought 80 people to this conference, so thank you so much. I mentioned last night that Matt Jewell and Liz Legowski had cornered me several years ago, and symposium is, and they'd love to have it here in Eau Claire, and I had to kind of hold them off for a little while. But thank you to them for being persistent, and thank you to Doug Dunham, who's the chair here for the symposium, and Mike Carney, the interim chancellor, and of course Chancellor Martini, for their enthusiasm to bring this conference to Eau Claire. We don't take that for granted. We appreciate that enthusiasm, and it makes for a much better conference. Extra congratulations are in order for Mike Carney. He's not here today, but he just retired after 26 years and has provided incredible service and been a great partner to WISIS, and I think a great leader for UW Eau Claire. So I want to thank the rest of our SPARK sponsors for making this possible. Boyle Frederickson, they have a table in the back there. Please go and talk to our patent attorneys who help us. WARF, Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation, the UW Eau Claire Material Sciences and Engineering Center. They are also, the Material Sciences group has a table back there that you should talk to them. The Universities of Wisconsin, of course, that's in our name, WISIS, Wisconsin System. And they've been a strong supporter of WISIS since we were conceived of 26 years ago. And of course, the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. In working with Forward Ag, we not only won $1 million from the National Science Foundation, but the governor added an additional $1 million and made us a key strategic partner with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. They brought a nice contingent here, and I encourage you to engage with them. They're really interested in your work and seeing how that can make a real impact on Wisconsin. I want to thank our SPARK Steering Committee for guiding the programming this year. If you're on the steering committee, please stand. They are incredible. They put a lot of time and energy into the program, and I think you're going to see a really excellent program for the next 2 days. Finally, last but not least, I want to thank the WISIS staff, if you would all stand. They are incredible superstars, experts. It's a joy to work with them every day. They get all the credit for all the work. They kind of set me up for taking credit, but it's really theirs. And I'm just very grateful. It's a tremendous team. But we're here because of all of you, and we thank you for your support. I mean, look at the incredible number of people here. You voted with your feet. You're here. We hope you have an incredible conference. I'd like to bring up Dave Bruchart now, who's the chair, as I mentioned, of the WISIS Board of Trustees, to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun. It's very good to be here on this wonderful campus. And being at the WISIS Spark Symposium brings back memories. Earlier this morning, I was talking with Regent Emeritus Tim Higgins, and we both realized that we had gone to our first Spark Symposium in 2012, which is like, well, hundreds of years ago in some regards. And it was a smaller event, but it was still kind of a preeminent program for WISIS. And I remember having just moved back from the West Coast to Wisconsin and trying to understand what WISIS could be and how I might fit in with it. I was sweaty palmed, and there were lots of people in the room who I knew were smart and very articulate about their projects and processes, and it was just a good learning experience. And I would tell you, for many of you who probably are first timers, in fact, how many of you are here for the first time? Would you just raise your hands? That was me in 2012. And thank you for being here. Do not be sweaty palmed. Do not be afraid to talk with others and understand what you can learn from them as a part of this organization. And through the years since 2012, what I've also learned is that there are very few other states, probably only a handful, where this kind of an event could happen, because Wysis does not grow on trees. It does not exist in other states. These kinds of collaborations, these kinds of partnerships are in many regards unique to Wisconsin. We've come out of the tradition of the Wisconsin Alumni Research Foundation Award, which celebrated 100 years this past year. Wysis is a bit of a spin-off. We're 25 years old, so just, we've got our license and we're driving, and we're starting to make good things happen with you. And that's the exciting part of what we do. And as a member of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to put my arms around you with all of our other board people. We are all volunteers doing this to help make good things happen on the campuses. And as I look around the board table, I sit with giants, and they're all mostly taller than I am. They are mostly far more accomplished than I. And I won't go through the list. You can see their names on the Wysis site. I'll just point out one of them to you. She is a Blue Gold, a graduate of UWEC. She is a Black Belt Six Sigma. She currently is CEO of a life sciences company in Philadelphia. She has raised over $100 million, and her name is Melissa Sherman. In this very room a couple of years ago, she got a Distinguished Alum Award from UWEC. She's just one of the people that devotes time to help us find ways to raise up innovation and entrepreneurship and intellectual property on the campuses. And all of that comes out of an idea that happened about 25 years ago. The head of WARF, Carl Bronson, who's no longer with us, but his wife will be here, Mary Bell Bronson, to present the Innovator of the Year Award later today. And we Wysis were charged, Tim, make sure I get this right, by the UW System Board of Regents to be the sole agent of intellectual property and commercialization for the 10 comprehensive campuses around the state and the Polytechnic. That doesn't exist in many other states, so we are here for you. So I say to you, take advantage of that. You already have. Most of you are the top of your class in what you do, working with your professors. And as I was thinking about this, I realized that standing up here now, I'm in a room, and so are you, with probably some of the best and brightest people anywhere in the country. And it's a summer day in Wisconsin. I would defy anybody to find more brain power convening in one place right now in this state or anywhere. So it's all here. It's very powerful, and it is you. And I thank you for being here. And make sure that as we work with you, you find ways to take your work to places that has never been before. You will, you are, and you will continue to do that. There'll be some good food. I think there'll be some good events. Somebody will win that gift card, and somebody's probably already working on that. So make that happen. And I just would like to say one more thing. I have an ask of all of you. None of you, myself included, have ever gotten to this point without many people helping us and lifting us up. That's still happening. Wysis is a piece of that. Your professors, your mentors, your family have been lifting you up. I would like you to stop for a minute and think about one or two of those people in your life who have helped you get to this place, and find a way to thank them. Find a way to show that, and you probably do that, but do it overtly in some way. And I would ask that you, if that includes some of your professors and perhaps your chancellor, your provost, send them a note and say, thank you for helping us get here. Thank you for supporting Wysis, because without the universities of Wisconsin, without your chancellors and provosts like Ed Martini and Mary Hoffman, and the people in this room, we couldn't do this. Send a note, and I'll give you all an A- if you send a note, and I'll give you an A+ if you actually handwrite a note, because they don't get those much anymore. And I defy you to take a pen out and do an old school note that just says thank you. Thank you for WISES, thank you for making these good things happen on our campuses, and then we need to thank you by continuing to provide good service and support in what you do. So I will stop there, and I would like to just say that you're going to be hearing from some more distinguished alums soon. I mentioned Melissa Sherman, you're going to be hearing from Zach Olmstead, Tim Nelson, and all of the people on this campus and in this city and in this part of the world that are here to show you what they've done, and knowing that you can take us to a place that goes beyond what any of us have envisioned. And with that, I will turn this program over to Chancellor Ed Martini, and I have to say just one thing about, you've heard his bio. I'll just say this, we knew about him before you did because he was at Oshkosh. And I remember a couple of years ago, as this whole Forward Ag thing was starting, after the Spark Symposium, we were going to get a group of people together from around the state, from Spark and from all of the campuses. And Arjun was hoping that we would be able to put enough people in this beautiful, looks like the United Nations at UWO, that big conference room. Could we fill at least part of that? Not only did we fill it, but some of us from WEDC and me and some others had to sit on the floor because there were like 85 or 90 people there. And then we broke out into some little groups, and Ed was in my group, and I didn't know who he was. He was just new at Oshkosh. And by God, did he not ask good questions? Did he not help make things happen? He wasn't just a guy who was in administration. He really was making good things happen. So with that, I'm going to ask the Chancellor to come up here. Thank you all.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Arjun, for that kind introduction. On behalf of everyone here at UW Eau Claire, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this year's WISES Spark Symposium. So again, thanks to Arjun, thanks to Dave, thanks to all the WISES team for making this happen. We are absolutely thrilled to have you here. My thanks to all of you for being here today, for bringing your expertise, your insights, your spirit of collaboration and innovation to the Spark Symposium, which is truly one of my favorite events of the year. I'm particularly proud and glad to have so many UW Eau Claire faculty, staff, and especially students here today in the audience presenting as part of the program. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing your work today and connecting with you as I am still very much getting to know you all. And I want to just reiterate my thanks to Doug, to Matt, to Raul, to Dylan, to Liz, so many of our faculty and staff who do so much great work to make this event happen and to bring it here, but also all the work that you all do so regularly with our students, as well as all the folks here in the Beatty Center and with our events production team. And I am going to be brief because I'm so excited for you to hear this morning's keynote speaker. And I do want to thank Dr. Tim Nelson and Zach Olmstead, who you'll hear from later, who we are so proud to call Blue Gold alumni, and I'm so glad that they can participate in this year's event as well. We are so proud of them, so proud to call them Blue Golds, proud to call them our friends, but also our partners as we continue to work together to build the future of Wisconsin. So I am new to Eau Claire. I am 3 weeks in as of yesterday, but I have been incredibly fortunate to be involved with WISES over the years and to have been a leader in higher education now for over 20 years. And I was drawn to this opportunity at UW Eau Claire because this is such a tremendous university, embedded in such a tremendous community. I grew up in the Twin Cities, Minneapolis and St. Paul, so I've known about Eau Claire's academic excellence for some time now. And this institution has just an outstanding foundation of high-impact learning that produces students who go on to be leaders and innovators in a number of different fields. But just as importantly, we are surrounded by and embedded in a community that is deeply invested in our shared future. And that's the kind of place I want to be at. That's what makes me so excited to be here. Because at the end of the day, when regional publics like Eau Claire, like all of our sister schools across the state, do what we do well, putting students together in positions with our staff, with our faculty, to solve real-world problems, it is a game changer. Taking students from small towns, communities, first-generation students from across the state, Putting them together in fields, in disciplines, and interdisciplines gives them the foundation we need to go out and solve the real-world problems that we're facing. I also want to put in a plug again just for WISIS and for Forward Ag, which you'll hear more about later. I'm very pleased to continue to serve on the WISIS Advisory Committee because this group, this organization, provides such a critical bridge from the university to businesses, to organizations, to nonprofits that are grappling with the challenges facing our state. They serve as that bridge, bringing together students, researchers, instructors, entrepreneurs, and industry leaders to help us see clearly that we are all in this together, and the more that we work together, we will indeed go farther. And I'm also very proud to continue to be involved with Forward Ag, a statewide coalition led by WISIS to support the resilience, health, and security of the state's agribusiness sector. And I really encourage you to learn more about this work. This is not something that's just for farmers. This is not something that's just for our rural communities. This is about our future food supply. This is about our future sense of sustainability and food safety and security in communities throughout Wisconsin. Providing research and market insights that can help America's dairyland while also continuing to provide wonderful hands-on learning experiences to students throughout the state. So, as you participate in this week's event, please stay open, continue to live out the spirit of innovation and collaboration that brought you here today. Keep thinking about how schools like UW-Eau Claire and all of the wonderful universities of Wisconsin may be able to help your organizations, your communities dig into and ultimately solve these complex problems. Do take advantage of these networking opportunities. Come up, meet people, other students, other entrepreneurs, folks from other universities. Find out what they're working on and seek out opportunities to collaborate. Go see the quick pitch competition. You will be blown away by how amazing and talented our students are. And you'll also walk away quite a bit more optimistic about the future. So, thanks to you all again for being here, for all the work that you've done and brought you here, for the work that you will continue to do. Have a great time on a spectacular day here on the most beautiful campus in Wisconsin. Do take time to enjoy the campus and the wonderful community that we're embedded in. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Chancellor. We really appreciate your leadership and support. So, Tim, yeah, come on up. I'm not going to take a long time introducing our keynote. He's an awesome person. I think that you can read his bio, but I met Tim a while ago, and I guess the things that strike me, the three things that strike me, is an innovator, an entrepreneur, and a collaborator. And I think that, as WISIS, we keep trying to push those ideas. How do we find creative people? How do we support their ideas? And how do we build an ecosystem where we can, make these things happen? And Tim kind of epitomizes that, and I think you're going to hear about some really exciting work that he's doing in the community. So I'm really excited to introduce our keynote speaker, Tim Nelson.
All right, Chris, Chris, you got it down. Thank you. Mike, you ready to roll? All right. So let's get it started. Everybody, you need to stand up. Please. I've got one question now that I got your attention. If you have ever complained about something, please stay standing. Seriously? We're in a room filled of complainers? Are we really? So, stay standing if you're proud to be a complainer. Think about what I mean by that. If you're proud to be a complainer. Or sit down if you hesitate and you feel dirty to be a complainer. Stand if you're proud, sit if you don't want to be a complainer. Are you a proud complainer or are you a disgruntled complainer? All right, everybody sit down. So, what did you just feel with those questions? What did it make you think? I caught you by surprise, hopefully. You didn't expect to get that Most of us, I think, have a sense of complaining as a problem. I grew up, I still am one of those that don't like complainers. I despise complainers, frankly. I hate it when people complain. However, what does a complaint do? A complaint does something really, really magical. Did somebody shout out what the last complaint they remember them having? Who had a complaint? Was the food suck this morning? What was the complaint? Shout one out. Shout it out.
God, these roads suck.
Which roads?
These roads suck.
These roads suck. You had that complaint. You drove up from Platteville. I was on the elevator that came up this morning. So you drove up from Platteville, the road sucked on me. Think about the complaints that you have. Okay, here's why I despise complaints. Maybe you've heard people say this before. A problem without a solution is nothing more than a complaint. A problem without a solution is nothing more than a complaint. And if you constantly complain about something, all that means is you have not come up with a potential solution. You tracking? A complaint, a problem without a solution is only a complaint. And I hate complainers. But I love complaints. And what I love about complaints is it causes people to see a problem with clarity and conviction and motivation. And when you define a problem with clarity and conviction, you can easily find a solution. Every single one of you. Whether you're an engineer, you're a scientist, you're a mathematician, even a history major, Ed. Even a history major. I'm joking. Some might know who's a history major. All of us can be problem solvers if we have a good complaint and we define a problem. So I'm going to tell you a quick story. I'm going to take a quick amount of time, show you some pictures, and show you what I do. I'm just a kid from Wisconsin, grew up in Wisconsin, had the privilege of going to the University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire, had a great mentor, Dr. O, in the organic chemistry lab, and I got to go on to medical school at Medical College of Wisconsin and on to Mayo Clinic, and now I get to return back home to Eau Claire to do the next phase of my career. So I'm just a kid from Wisconsin. I'm like you. Just 20 years advanced. And we, together, get to do some amazing things. I'm going to tell you how we build hearts and cure congenital heart disease. See if this works, Mike. We're going to I hit a button. It'll work. Thank you. All right, here's where the story starts. Let's slow it down. You may be one of these patients. Forgive me if I trigger you with some of the stories I'm going to share. But today is going to be focused on one of these three people in this picture. And it's actually the clinician. So I'm going to skip over the patient story, and I'm going to focus on the clinician. The clinician is tasked today to tell you about your unborn son or daughter that has congenital heart disease. And I have to bring you into the office and tell you, I'm sorry, we have bad news to talk about. On the ultrasound, your daughter has a congenital heart defect with half the heart missing, and your child probably will not survive if we don't do surgery in the first 72 hours of life. But we can have a good outcome. About 75% of these kids will make it to their first birthday, and half of them will make it to their 5th birthday. And so we're confident we can help you. Did I inspire confidence in you by saying that? 25% chance you're going to die today, 50% chance you're going to die in the next 5 years, and I got to tell you this story. As a clinician, think about it from the clinician standpoint, not the patient standpoint. Think about the trauma that the clinician has to go through every single day that they have to go through that story, and tell those statistics in honesty to a family, to an expecting mother. How does that make a clinician that has spent their career training to do the impossible, to help? How humbling do you think that must feel to a clinician that has spent their years training to do better? For them to sit and say 50% chance of not making it to your 5th birthday. And then they go into the coffee break, because I was one of these people. You go to the coffee break and you start complaining. You complain about the fact that there's not enough money. Somebody ever done this? You complain that there's not enough money to solve this problem. You complain that there's not enough people interested in congenital heart disease because it's a rare disease, there's not enough big market. You complain about it's little people, and we have big solutions for big people, but we don't have solutions for little people. And my colleagues complain every single day because of this rare neglected disease, and we do a shitty job of outcomes on these kids. It's easy to complain. You feel it? You sense it? You imagine that? So what we're going to do is we're going to stop complaining. And this is a journey. I'm going to tell you in the next 15 minutes of 15 years. Can I do that? 15 years and 15 minutes? But this is the story of how it starts. These kids are missing half the heart. Half of their heart, the big chambers that are left ventricle that pumps blood to their entire bodies, some of these kids are missing it at birth. What are we going to do? We're going to complain about it, or are we going to find a solution? I'm going to tell you 3 solutions today that we've worked on to make this. Rebuild the heart, refurbish the heart, and boost the heart to address the weakness of the heart. Address the problems of congenital heart disease. What do you see? Shout it out. What do you see? Nobody knows what this is. None of you have ever seen this, but I heard beating, contracting. You're describing what you see. You're looking under a microscope at the ball of a ballpoint pen. Anybody have those on the table? So think of the ball of the ballpoint pen under a microscope as this screen. And it's beating. You're right. It's beating and contracting. What you're looking at is a skin sample 9 months earlier with a piece of skin from a patient's arm that was bioengineered into beating and contracting heart muscle cells. Tracking? Sounds a little creepy, doesn't it? Skin cells converted into beating heart muscle cells. We went on to test that idea. If we plant those beating heart muscle cells into a damaged heart, I'm not going to go through the details, can you rebuild it? And the answer is yes. The green cells are engrafted into the heart, and they don't cause arrhythmias, and they rebuild the heart. That was about 5 years and 5 seconds there, guys. Okay? So you can make the cells, you can transplant the cells, and you can rebuild the cells of the heart that better contract. And it all started from a patient's piece of skin. That's pretty creepy, isn't it? So with that idea, we complain. We complain that how are we ever going to get FDA approval to be able to bring that to a clinical patient, to bring that into a clinical trial? It seems impossible, doesn't it? You all tasked with taking that technology and bringing it to a clinical trial. Do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel like that's impossible? I know I did. We started working on it. We had some great investors. We had some great philanthropists. And we started developing a process. You see the title here? Eureka is in a moment. It's a process. We started developing a process of converting those skin cells through mechanical engineering, through biochemical reprogramming, and scaling the cells into these spinner cultures. And ultimately, you get this. You get clusters of beating, contracting cells that can fill the palm of your hand now, fill the palm of your hand with beating and contracting heart muscle cell that started from a piece of skin. That's the process that probably 30 people worked on over the course of about 10 years, and we spent about $30 million to develop that, okay? There was a lot of people, a lot of money, and a lot of effort developing that process. And we can prove that these cells are beating and contracting in cardiac muscles. They accelerate when you give them adrenaline, like I have right now talking in front of you. And if I take a beta blocker and slow my heart down, these cells slow down. They biochemically respond the same way your heart does in the cell culture. And then we can freeze them. We can lock them down permanently in time, and we can call on them when our patient needs them. So we can put them in our liquid nitrogen, freeze them down, and the day that our patient needs it is the day that they're available. Okay, next photo. If you don't like blood, you don't want to watch it. Okay? I have had people pass out when they've seen this video. This is a 3-month-old child that has open heart surgery where we are delivering stem cells into the heart muscle cells to rebuild the heart. You're literally watching the surgeon's hands injecting the seeds, these stem cells, these cardiac muscle cells, into the heart with the hope that they grow, they divide, and they make the heart stronger. Okay, we're rebuilding the heart with this technology. We've done this hundreds of times. We've perfected it, we've pioneered it, and we continue to try to iteratively make this better. Pretty cool? That's how we rebuild hearts. We take your skin, we make your heart muscle cells, and we inject it into your heart. We now have the world's first FDA approval to do that clinically and transplant those beating cells that are genetically identical to you into your heart so you don't have to take immunosuppression drugs. That all started because of what? Is that test. That all started because what? A complaint. A complaint that really sucks to have to sit in front of a family and say, we can do this and have 50% outcome. That's a complaint, but because we defined the problem, we deconstructed it, we built a team, you actually have a potential solution. That's the moral. Let's go on to one other thing. What do you see in this picture? Shout out what you see. What do you feel? What do you hear? What do you smell? What's going on? Describe it. You gotta be loud, because I got bad ears. Surgery? Team? Give me another word. Somebody in the back, shut it out so I can hear you.
Saving lives.
Saving lives, is that what I heard? What you're looking at here is about 150 years of cardiac surgery expertise in one room, okay? I won't go through all of the players, but you've got the perfusionist, you've got the anesthesiologist, you've got the surgeons. This is 150 years of cardiac surgery expertise at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, in my lab 3 years ago. What's remarkable is that the patient that they're doing surgery on has 4 legs and not 2 legs. You tracking? This is not a real patient. This is a simulation. This is a test. This is a training. This is a rehearsal. This is an invention. This is a pioneering activity. But look at the focus. This isn't a game. This isn't for fun. This isn't for a hobby. This isn't for free time. What they learn here is what they immediately bring to their patients to improve on the 50% survival that we quote today. This is what professionals do every single day. This isn't a lab in college. This isn't an experiment. This is real-world innovation, real-world pioneering effort that takes a cross-functional team and it takes everybody working together. And what this team did is something quite remarkable. They developed a new therapy. They actually can save lives with this new therapy. What they discovered by practicing these surgeries of mimicking what the physiology of kids with congenital heart disease have, they put a pump in a certain part of the circulation. I'm not going to go through all the details, but they decided, they defined a problem, they tested a solution, and my God, it worked. And it worked so well that when they put this in one of these 4-legged patients with a congenital heart disease, the 4-legged patient looked normal. Did it 10 times. And it got to the point where the critics couldn't argue. The data was compelling. It was flip the switch, things were good, turn the switch off, things were bad. It was that dramatic. One day, one of my colleagues was going up to the 4-legged patient cath lab to be able to do another surgery, to test another innovation, and he got a page. We all got paged to the OR for Miguel. Miguel was a 12-year-old boy that had a single ventricle congenital heart disease, and his heart stopped. In an outside hospital, they put a breathing tube down his throat. His heart decompressed. His heart literally stopped. And they had to start chest compressions and start giving medications to keep him alive. 45 minutes later, he shows up in our OR in Rochester, Minnesota. When he showed up in the OR, he had 45 minutes of cardiac arrest. Does that sound like a good thing or a bad thing? Anybody knows anything about CPR? That's a long time to be doing chest compressions. We had no good options. Nobody's going to complain about this, but we had a problem, and we had to do something. And one of our teams was standing with a catheter. It was actually the red catheter that's in this diagram that was going up to the lab to test and perfect and rehearse. And he decided, we got nothing else to do. And he put the red catheter in, he put the blue catheter in, and he turned the pump on. This was Miguel's chest X-ray. His heart's very large here, if you know what you're looking at. And what happened was Miguel woke up. Literally woke up, turned the switch on, and the pump worked enough to recirculate his blood, his heart started pumping, and he woke up neurologically intact. That's a big deal. That was a big day. And the reason that was a big day is because now we have the confidence to do it 10 other times. And to date, there's been 5 lives that have been saved. Literally today, 5 lives have been saved because of the pioneering efforts of clinicians and engineers working collaboratively to do something that they complained about yesterday. But then they complained about it, the big tubes go in your neck and out your groin and you can't get around. Now here's the next solution. You can miniaturize this pump. We understand the circulation to the point where you now can engineer an implantable pump that doesn't have wires coming outside of your body, that you can put it into this certain part of the circulation and can have this life-saving intervention. That's pretty cool, right? But what if we took the motor away and the wires away? What if we made a biological pump? I already showed you beating, contracting heart muscle cells. If you look very carefully on this video, you see a white line that goes down the center that kind of flashes on and off. What you're looking at is a reflection. As this conduit contracts, it changes the reflection. These cells now can be casted in a tube that is a beating, contracting conduit, a biological motor. Tracking? So rather than having a motor and a battery and electricity, we now have biological systems that can mimic conduits that could be used as augmentations where we use pumps. Pretty cool, right? I'm going fast. Y'all with me? You staying awake? Anybody falling asleep? Mention neighbor if you're falling asleep, because they're not going to want to miss this third one I'm going to tell you about. Anybody ever heard of heart transplants? Many of you, I won't ask you if you're a donor, but many of you may be a donor. May have signed up on your driver's license to donate organs. Some of you might know somebody that's needed a heart transplant. Some of you in this room might actually have received a heart transplant. Here's what you don't know. 80% of donated hearts never get used for heart transplantation. 80% of the hearts that are donated never get used in a patient because they're too far away, they're the wrong blood type, they had some questionable habit or behavior the day they died, they had some contusion on their heart so that it wasn't quite perfect. 80% of donated hearts of healthy people don't get used. 80%. I made my point, that's a big number. How many heart transplants then do we do every year? I need 3 people to give me a number. How many heart transplants, every hospital, every indication, every institution in the United States, how many heart transplants do we do? Give me one number.
80.
How many?
80.
Give me another number.
10,000.
10,000. Give me a third. Now, the price is right. Higher or lower? You're going to go middle, you're going to go higher. What's the third number you want to show? 150. 850. One in the middle. Most people do. So we got 80, 850, 10,000. 2,500 we've never done more of. 2,500. Is that a big number? Everybody that has heard about a heart transplant, 2,500 is the most we've ever done. 80% of the hearts, you do the math, have been discarded and never been transplanted. This is a big problem. How many people would benefit from a heart if we had them available today to do a heart transplant for them? 100,000. There's 100,000 people today, as we sit here this morning, that needs a heart. And we only do 2,500 a year. And 80% of the hearts are discarded. You got a complaint or do you got a problem? I think we've got a problem that we can start working towards. Do you agree? What you're looking at here, I should have warned you, another bloody picture. What you're looking at here is a heart that has been harvested out of a body. I got one guy sitting here cringing his face, like, I don't want to look at this. That's all right, you don't have to look at it. I respect that. Those of you who want to look at it can check it out. It's a beating heart. Here's a better picture. There's no blood in this picture. We have a beating, contracting heart that you can keep alive outside of the body. And when you keep a heart alive outside of the body, you can do some crazy things with it. One, you can keep it alive so you can transplant it more than 4 hours for a heart transplant. You can get to 6, 8, 12 hours. That's a big deal. If you can have the technology to keep it alive more than 4 hours, you can use more than the 80% that get discarded. Tracking? But now if you take a heart that's a little bit damaged, has a contusion, has a weak heart muscle, could you then start rebuilding it with the cells I just showed you earlier? Could you make it contract better? Could you put drugs and chemicals and cells in that to rehab the heart, to make a damaged heart healthy? What if you could do that for 40 days? Imagine what we could rebuild and recreate in a 40-day regenerative time period. Why are we in Eau Claire? Because all three of those innovations that I just showed you were complaints that have been turned into problems. And now we are very fortunate to have colleagues that on top of campus here at the 900 district, we are bringing together a community, a global community, that can bring together problem solvers. The people that get sick of complaining, we talked about this, the people that like problems because they have solutions. This is going to be a campus of innovators, of entrepreneurs, of pioneers. And we launched this actually 1 month ago today, was the 23rd of June. This is one of the innovation rooms, and we've got some remarkable people. Some of you might know some of the faces in this room. And we are together going to be able to do this. Teach me and I forgive. I'm sorry, tell me and I forgive. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. Ben Franklin. That's what 900 District represents as a place for people like you, as a part of our estate, and as a part of our community for biomedical innovation. Because complaints can turn into problems. And problems clearly can define solutions. And now there's going to be a day where these clinicians have a different job. A different job to not only say you have a problem, a congenital heart disease, but we've got a team, we've got a process, we've got a network and an ecosystem that is committed to pioneering new innovations. From the funding, and I can talk about that, how we fund this, to the engineers and the solutions of how we source it and repurpose it, all the way to the clinical trials. Now, if any of you feel overwhelmed, because that seems unrealistic, you're not alone. It does seem unrealistic to do that. I remember what that felt like. I still feel that to this day of how daunting this feels like when you commit to doing that. But when you have a cross-functional team and you have a commitment and a vision of a complaint turning into a clear problem, I promise you, you can surprise yourself. So good luck to you. I hope you find collaborators. I hope you find new inspiration today. I'm happy to take a few questions if you have a few minutes. Thanks for your time.
So first of all, we have an app. If you have some questions, put them in the app, and Allie will be looking at them and send some up to you. We have a few minutes for some questions, so I'll get it kicked off. I have so many questions about this. And yes, it's hard to program. But maybe in a more general sense for our audience, what gives you the confidence that you have the right problem and that you're the right person to be that problem solver? Like I think that kind of sorting through problems is one of the challenges that we all have.
It's a great question. Because how do you know that you're spending the time in the right thing? Did any of you debate whether it was worth your time coming here today? Did any of you wonder as I drove from Platteville on the crappy roads at the restaurants, is this going to be worth my time? Or am I going to be bored? And why did you come? Why did you make that decision? Serious. Why? Why did you make that decision? I suspect it was more than somebody told you to come. I suspect it was more than somebody said this is a good idea. I suspect most of you had, I feel somewhere down here this is what you got to do, right? And it comes with conviction, doesn't it? Everything important you accomplish in life comes from a conviction. And a conviction is not rational, it's not logical, it's not defensible, it's a conviction. You feel it, you believe it. I tell you, don't underestimate your convictions and what you feel and what you believe. And when somebody challenges you on it, like taking on 900 District and taking a former hospital and turning it into something else, you think anybody thought that was a crazy idea? Some of you in the room right here told me it was a crazy idea. But you got to have a conviction, don't you? So there's no right or wrong answer to that. It's a great question, but trust your gut, trust your convictions, because you're not going to be wrong most of the time. You might be wrong some of the time, but you won't be wrong most of the time.
Maybe following on from that, Tim, there's, we talk to our audience quite a bit about pivoting, right? That, and maybe talk a little bit about that because, there's the conviction, but when how are you making those decisions to then say something's working or it's not working? And what direction that you're going to go in with that? Because I think that would be critical in innovating.
Yeah, necessity is the mother of all invention, isn't it? We've all heard that. I love that line because I'll give you something that happened last night. So I haven't slept for the last 30 hours. I was actually on call last night at 900 District taking care of one of these experiments that I just showed you. Air mattress on the floor, and thankfully there was a hot shower this morning so I can come down here. And about 3:30 this morning, Doug and I talked about this already. Thank you, Doug, and your team, because they 3D printed the bucket that I used for the heart that you saw. And God damn it, the nozzle that the tubing went in broke off last night. And Doug and I just talked about it this morning. Blood everywhere, right? And we had to scramble to put it back together. So I use that as an example. It happened literally 3 a.m. this morning as breaking. And don't be mad when it breaks, because Doug and I know exactly what we're going to do differently now, right? We know exactly the problem, and we're going to put a solution and we're going to fix it. So what I'm trying to get at is go run hard at something. Go break something. When it breaks, you get to have a problem that you get to fix. Don't sit back and try to come up with a perfect bucket or the perfect nozzle or perfect. No. Go take what you have and run at it and break it. And if you can break it fast, you can learn fast. So get away from this analysis paralysis that you got to have things perfectly figured out and perfect conviction and perfect clarity. That's just a misnomer. Run at it, break it, and fix it. It's a fun game.
So apparently you don't get to sleep. That's as an innovator, you're not allowed to sleep. One of the things I saw I really liked your example of that four-legged patient and the collaboration that exists in that. And I think that's one of the things that we talk about is that innovation is a team sport, right? So maybe talk about what are your pathways to take this idea and get your team together and collaborate. Can we talk a little bit about that? How are you getting these, all these highly intelligent people to kind of work together?
Well, it's super easy to get highly intelligent people together. Like, I have zero problem recruiting the best people on the planet because of the ideas and the momentum we have. Build something special and the talent comes. Like, don't worry about that. Build something cool. Cool people are going to show up. But here's what my advice for the cool people, the wannabes, the people that want to be cool people, that want to do something. God bless our universities, our research activities, all the knowledge and creation that we do. It's really, really important. But it's an underestimated skill set to develop teamwork. Listen to what I'm saying. The medical doctors of the future, the engineers of the future, the innovators of the future, the entrepreneurs of the future in health and biomedicine are going to be the best team members in the room. They're not going to be the smartest people. They're not going to be the most talented. They're not going to be the most experienced. They are hands down going to be the most team-oriented, collaborative person. Imagine how much we could accomplish if nobody cared who got credit. Imagine how much we could accomplish as a team if nobody cared who got credit. If you can understand what I just said, you're going to be a kick-butt team member, and you are going to be a leader that I want to be part of our team, and you're going to have unlimited opportunities. Be a team player, and things get really fun really fast.
Thank you. Great thoughts there. And keep the questions coming. Great questions from the audience. We have one that connects to our students. Was there, for you, was there an impactful moment as a student that gave you the persistence to be the scientist that you are today? Is there like a moment where you're like,
I can think of two things that happened. happened quickly off the top of my head. One was, we've done organic chemistry. Raise your hand. Rotovac. Anybody love that thing or hate that thing? Love it. The reason you love it is because you got the white powder. The reason you hate it is because you got the oily mess, the polymer. True or false? Right? So there was those moments where that Rotovac came out with that white crystal powder that you got to go put on the NMR machine in Phillips Hall and look at what the chemical compound was that you made. And when it actually gave you the NMR profile of the compound that you expected to make, freaking eureka. Right? Like that moment was like, oh my God, that is the coolest thing. You got to celebrate those moments. You got to jog those moments down in your head because those are momentum builders that you will need going forward. So I've had those moments, and that happened literally with Dr. O's chemistry. But I also had another moment when I was at EMT at Luther Hospital in Eau Claire. It was a middle of the night EMT shift in the ER, and one of the doctors I respected came in and said, "What are you doing?" I was studying biochemistry. I was looking at private Krebs cycle or something. I don't know what I was looking at. I was really bored with it. And he came in and slammed the book shut in front of me and said, "Why are you studying that stuff? Why doesn't somebody figure out how to treat a cold sore on your lip and not worry about all this fancy mumbo jumbo? Like there's real problems with our patients. You're using a cold sore as an example. Do work on that." And that really embedded a thought in my head that, yes, we can do the theoretical scientific, but we also can do the pragmatic. And when you can have a solution that pragmatically helps somebody, that's a moment that has been very powerful for me in all the clinical trials that we've done. So just two things that come to mind with this.
How do we turn, I really liked your, how you started with complainers. I'm a complainer at times, sometimes quietly. Depends on who I'm talking to. How do you turn us complainers into problem solvers?
Never complain about the same thing 3 times. Try it. Never complain about the same thing 3 times. Give yourself 3 times. You can complain about it. You can rehearse the complaint. You can test the complaint on somebody else. But force yourself to stop complaining a 4th time. Force yourself to say, I'm either going to give up on that and forget about it because I can't solve it, or I'm going to come up with a defined problem that I can work on. Just don't let yourself become that complainer that constantly complains about the bloody roads, right? Don't complain about the roads if you can't fix it. If you can fix the road, don't fix it. If you can't fix it, don't waste your time complaining about it. My colleague at the platform, shout that out. Thanks for sharing that. Right? You get 3 times to complain about the roads, and you got to fix it or you got to shush it. Right?
I like that. Yeah, it really is a call to action. I think it's a good reminder for all of us. It's good, like you said, it's great to have complaints. That's you're observing problems and challenges, and then the question is what you can do about it. And who are you going to talk to? And I think that's really good advice for all of us. Well, one of the students has asked us, what advice would you give students, kind of taking some of their ideas and moving it into practical use? Was there, I know you've been an entrepreneur and an innovator for quite a while, done some things early on. What kind of gave you that spark to, say, oh, okay, I can go take this idea and go run with it somewhere?
Yeah, I don't have any grand words of wisdom. I wish I did. I wish I had something that could inspire you to reach your full potential, what you can be. My story is just my story, and my story is worthless to all of you, frankly. It's just my story, but maybe you can see something in my story that makes sense to you.
Well, maybe let's go here to this next question. As you sort through your ideas, how do you find the balance between a plausible procedure and a kind of just a wild idea? Or are they all wild ideas?
I mean, look, it's a team sport, right? So I've shared a lot of crazy ideas with my team, this idea, that idea, and people look at you and they say, yeah, but, you ever heard that? May I use that phrase with you? Yeah, but. I want to do blah, 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 blah. Yeah, but.
That's the next question, actually. How do you handle the naysayer?
The yeah buts. I love the yeah buts. The yeah buts are awesome people. You have to have 20% of those people on your team. 20% of your team has to be the naysayers, the devil's advocate, whatever you want to call it, the yeah butters. You've got to embrace those people. They're the ones that will challenge you to refine the problem and refine the thinking. Don't run away from them. They might be right. In fact, they probably are right. And when you listen to them and you learn from them, you make your ideas better and you define a better problem. Don't run away from the people that challenge you. Embrace them. Learn from them. And when you do that and you refine it, you're going to get deep conviction because you're going to disagree with them because you're going to say they're wrong because X, Y, and Z. You're going to get convicted to them being wrong, or you're going to build camaraderie around an idea and you'll share it, and then you get more conviction because of the positive energy. You get conviction from negative energy or positive energy, but that naysayer is going to help you develop your conviction. And you got to have conviction before you can make anything happen, but it's worth debating. The problem is that analysis paralysis. When you surround yourself with everybody that wants to debate every single angle and you never put a step forward, you got to give yourself a deadline. This is what I do. I say, this is a decision that is probably going to be high impact, high reward. We're going to take a month to make a decision on this because it's a big decision. Put the date on the calendar. The decision is going to be made by this date because it takes 4 weeks. It's a big thing. And then you debate it. But when you get to that deadline, you make a decision with the information that you have. On the other hand, you might say, this is a 10-minute decision. This is low risk. It doesn't matter. We could debate this for 4 weeks, but it's a low-risk decision. Give yourself 10 minutes, debate it with one person, and make a decision. So if you can put the gravity of the decision into a timeline and hold yourself to that, you can move forward. You don't get bogged down in analysis paralysis, which is the biggest killer of all innovation and all momentum.
Thank you. Well, we have time for one last question, and this is a pretty practical, easy one from the audience. How long does it take to get an FDA? What's kind of that timeline of that?
Yeah, so we worked on it for 10 years to get it. It was 11,000 pages for the one I showed with you today. There was 20 plus people that worked on it. We spent on that one IND probably $20+ million of R&D work to get it. It's a big deal. There's other FDA approvals that are lower risk and take less time and money, so that just gives you a paradigm of what it is. But I'll tell you what, I was with our chief regulatory officer, who is probably the most important person for an FDA submission. He's the one that has to make the final call on what gets submitted and what doesn't. And the day that we got that approval, I was at Ashley for the Arts in Arcadia, Wisconsin, at an event at a music festival, and I got the text, or I got the email, that your IND is approved from the FDA.
Investigational new drug.
That's the approval that the FDA gives you to be able to go on to your next clinical trial. And I remember exactly where I was standing when I got that email, because I get emotional just telling you the story. It's crazy. Jared, who was our chief regulatory officer, literally fell on his knees. Like, unbelievable. Have you ever had that moment where you just fall on your knees like, I cannot believe we accomplished that? Like, we got the approval. We got the approval the first time we submitted it in a minimum of 30 days because we had the right team doing the right thing. Those moments are what propel you and give you the confidence to do anything you can imagine next. Get the small wins, get the momentum built, get on the right team, and when you have those moments that build it, you develop the confidence that if I can imagine the problem, I probably can find the team to solve it. And when you develop that confidence, stuff gets really fun really fast.
Yeah, a colleague told me that they're proof points, if you think of that. Like, as you have these proof points along the way, you don't think that you're going to solve something all at once. But I think that question is a really great plug for our WISE's team. And as Tim mentioned, it depends, right? So there are some FDA approvals that are a lot quicker than that, depending on the type of device or activity. There's some things that don't even require that, depending on what you're working on. So that's a good opportunity to talk to us and our team about what you're working on, and we can help you navigate that pathway. So let's give our keynote speaker a round of applause.